Chapter 7. Practice and review. Number 1. Secundas literas discipulae heri videbas, et de verbis tum cogitabas. So having read this out loud, I think you can see we've got two sentences here. We've got this one, and there's that et in between, and then you've got this sentence here. I mean, obviously they're not separate sentences, they're part of the same sentence, but we don't need to, we can break them up in this way. So, the first one, hopefully you're at this point where you recognize this as, this is the accusative, plural, feminine. You just recognize that right off the bat. This discipuli, hot on the tails of this literos, is often going to be the genitive singular feminine. Here is an adverb. And videbas, that ba is the imperfect, second person singular, imperfect, active, indicative. You used to see. You used to see what? The second letters, the pleasing letters of the student, or you saw the pleasing letters of the student yesterday. I think just the simple past is a little better here. You saw the pleasing letters of the student yesterday. And what did you do? Same analysis here. And at that point, you thought about the words. Tum just means, tum is the adverb that means when. But I think it's oftentimes helpful to translate it at that time, which is what, of course, when means. But anyway. Number 2. Feminae senemora civitatem de insidiis et exitio malo monebunt. Well, right here at the end, I've recognized the nt is plural. And if I go back to the beginning of the sentence, I see the subject, the first word, is nominative plural. So, nominative plural, feminine, the women will warn, monebunt, third person plural, future, active, indicative. The women will warn. And now let's just jump right back into the sentence in the same word order that we were working on. Senemora, the women, without delay, senemora. This is the ablative singular feminine. Why is it the ablative singular feminine? Because the preposition sine always takes the ablative. The women, without delay, what did they do? They warned the state, accusative, singular feminine, day, about these things, about the ambushes, the treacheries, the ambushes, the plots. Yeah, the plots, that's a good one. And about destruction. It's not about evil. Malo, well, exitio is ablative singular neuter, and malo modifies it. So it is not about the evil, it is about the destruction. I mean, in the destruction, the exitio is evil, of course. That's why we're using it there. But it's not evil the noun, it's evil the adjective, which is annoying, perhaps, that we have it that way. But the women, without delay, will warn the state about the plots and the evil destruction. Number 3. Rex et regina igitur cras non audebunt, ibi remanere. This one's a little different. As we read it out loud in English, hopefully you saw that this is the subject. Well, it's two subjects. Singular subjects, but together they're plural. And notice the last word is not the main verb. The last word is the infinitive, the complementary infinitive. The present active infinitive used as the complementary infinitive. So, this, the third person plural, future, active, indicative, they will dare. Who will dare? The king and the queen. Igitur, therefore, will dare, or actually will not dare, to remain there tomorrow. The king and the queen, therefore, will not dare to remain there tomorrow. Interesting note on cross. Cross equals tomorrow. Pro is, as you know, pro or con, pro equals for. So procrastination is something, yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. That'll be for tomorrow. How's that? Literally for tomorrow. Number 4, mores graecorum non erant sine culpis vitiisque. Well, as we read it through, we saw this is the verb, it's plural. We can reconfirm in our head that mores is plural, that's the subject. When you have a genitive right after a noun, good, that goes right together, genitive, plural, masculine. The morals of the Greeks, erant, were not. And then were not, the third person plural, imperfect, active indicative. The morals were not without two things, without faults and vices. The customs, habits, morals were not without faults and vices. Morals of the Greeks, sorry. Customs of the Greeks. Number 5, quando homines satis virtutis habebunt. When. Notice that when the subject is interrogative, we don't need to put that ne there, but homines is nominative, plural, masculine. Nominative, plural, masculine. Habebunt, third person, plural, future, active, indicative. When will men have, hold, possess enough? Satis is a noun. Satis is an indeclinable noun. A noun, it's indeclinable. It's always satis. It's very indeclinable. It's only one of a few that are indeclinable. And this is, but it does take the genitive singular feminine. And we say, and it is enough of virtue, is what the Latin says. We wouldn't say that in English. We would simply say enough virtue. Rarely do we use enough of. Well, not rarely, that's not true. We do say, I have not had enough sleep, but I have had enough of your foolishness, for example. So how do we determine? What is this rule we have in English where we say, when do we determine in English to say enough of versus enough? I've had enough sleep, I've had enough pizza, I've had enough of that. Yeah, isn't that interesting? We say, I've had enough of that, but we do say, I've had enough sleep. I mean, it's very, very, very peculiar, isn't it? I've had enough foolishness, I've had enough of your foolishness. It's like when it's modified by an adjective, then you use of in English. Yeah, here's the thing. Latin, imagine having to teach this to someone in, learning English. How do you tell them when to follow this process, enough sleep versus enough of? How do we determine it? I honestly don't know. Fortunately, I don't have to worry about that right now. Latin always uses the enough of construction, despite the fact that that may not be the best way to translate it in English, okay? So I want to be clear. For the purposes of this class, when will men have enough of virtue? That's fine. It's not great English, but you've demonstrated your understanding of Latin. But good English is, when will men have enough virtue? Because, once again, in English, we do it two ways, and Latin only does it the one. Number 6. Corpora vestra sunt sana et animi sunt pleni sapientiae. This et right here in the middle indicates these are two sentences. And the subject, or the verb of these, is sunt. This one, third person, plural, present, active, indicative. They are and they are. Sunt, sunt. And oftentimes, very, very, very often, when you use sunt, or the verb to be, whether it's present tense, past tense, singular, plural, you can keep the same word order. The bodies, our bodies, okay, so we'll switch that around, are healthy, and minds are full of wisdom. See how that works? And I think I translated it, our bodies, it's your bodies. So if any of you caught that, wondering what I'm talking about, I just spoke too quickly. Your bodies are healthy, and your minds, are full of wisdom. Yeah, you can take vestra, of course, grammatically goes with corpora. Nominative, plural, neuter. But logically, it will also applies to the anomy. Romans aren't going to repeat the vestra, period. Yeah, I mean, they might. That's a little strong stance on my part. But the Westra, the your, they've already used your bodies in the sentence. A Roman would be perplexed at our wanting to use your again. I mean, we almost have to have it in English. Your bodies are healthy and your minds are full of wisdom, okay? We almost have to use that second your in the sentence. And the Roman would find the English very peculiar. The Roman would be like, why? You just used it, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words ago, and you can't remember it's your again? So yeah, be comfortable throwing in words again, because I think the oddness, the peculiarity is in the English, not in the Latin. Number 7. Propter mores humanos pacem veram non habebimus. Now, as I was going through this, I was like, I was thinking, not nominative, not nominative, not nominative, not nominative, not nominative, not nominative. In other words, there's no subject here. So we have to get the subject from the verb we will. This is the we part, the mus is the we part, the bi is the future part, the habe is the having part. We will have, or in this case, we will not have. We will not have. What will we not have? Pacem, accusative, singular, feminine, and what kind of pacem? True pacem, true peace, propter, because of human morals, because of human habits, because of human morals, we will not have true peace. Number 8, poteritne curitas pericula temporum nostrorum superare. Well, here we go. We see the right lot. This very first word is loaded. Ne shows its question. Poterit, third person singular, future, active, indicative. And so, if I just tell you this one word, if I just say poteritne, you would know A, its question. B, you would know to look for a complementary infinitive somewhere else in the sentence, because that poterit can't be by itself. You need to complete the thought. Will he be able? Or she be able? Oh, and then we get the civitas. Not he or she, but the state. Will the state be able? Will the state be able what? Well, something about the dangers. Will the state be able to, who knows what? We haven't gotten to the verb yet. I mean, the complementary infinitive yet. Will the state be able, something to do with the dangers, genitive, plural, neuter, of our times. Superare, overcome. There's my complementary infinitive. Will the state be able to overcome the dangers of our times? Now, I obviously presented this in the order in which it comes because that's how the Latin is and that's how the Romans spoke and that's how we want to appreciate the Latin language. But if you're sitting there struggling at 11:30 at night, just run to the end and get the verb. Will it be able to overcome? There you go. And finish off the rest of your sentence. Obviously, I want you all to appreciate the language, but I also want you to be able to translate it. The appreciation will come. Don't worry about that. Number 9. Post bellum, multos libros de pace et remediis belli videbant. So, as I was going through it, just again, as before, not nominative, 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 not nominative. So, therefore, we have to grab the subject from here. We have to grab the subject from the verb. They were seeing or they saw. So, let's take this in the word order. After the war, now we insert in this spot because that's where we want it in English. They saw, this is where we want it in English, not in Latin. After the war, they saw many books about peace and the cures of war. So after the war, they saw many books about peace and about, the day goes in there again, about peace and the cures, the remedies of war. Number 10. Officia sapientiamque oculis animi possumus videre. Great. I hope you saw, there's that possumus as you were going through it. First person plural, present active infinitive. And I better see, indicative. And I better see an infinitive in there, and sure enough, there it is, videre. The present active infinitive. and it is the complementary infinitive. We are able to see. We are able to see what? We are able to see this, officia sapientiamque, these two things. This is accusative plural neuter. This is accusative singular feminine. We are able to see the duties and the wisdom by means of, this is your ablative, plural masculine, the ablative of means, by means of the eyes of the soul. I don't know what that is, to be honest with you, but that's what we're talking about. The duties and the wisdom we are able to see with the eyes of our soul. 11. Without sound character, we cannot have peace. So let's analyze this. What's the subject? We, verb, cannot, this is tricky. This is going to use the word, it's not going to be like it is in English. We're going to use possum here, or a verb of posse, a form of posse, and that takes the complementary infinitive, even though it's not immediately visible in this English sentence. So this is going to be the infinitive. This is going to be the object of the infinitive, accusative singular feminine. Oh, we cannot. This is going to be known plus we is first person plural, present, indicative, active. And I'm going to pretend to loop it this way to show it's all one word. I'll draw a little arrow so you all know we keep going that way. Without sound character, sine plus ablative. Sound character, this is going to be ablative plural because the word for character is plural. Ablative plural feminine, and sound is going to modify it. So now that we've understood it, and now that we've analyzed it, now we know where we're going, let's take this, let's translate it. Sine, sanis moribus. Pacem, let's put that pacem. Peace, non habere, possumus. Without sound moral, sound character, we are not able to have peace. I'm a little iffy on the word order here in the second part. I don't know what sounds the best. I'd be tempted to, I don't know if I want to flip-flop the pacem and habere, but certainly for our purposes it doesn't matter at all. As long as you understand it, as long as you analyze it, we're good here. Number 12, many students used to have small time for Greek literature. So, subject, students, verb, used to have. And this is not the, okay, in English we do have the word used to. Used to equals accustomed to. And that's a different construction altogether. This used to is simply we were in the habit of, and that's the imperfect tense. And so it's third person plural, imperfect, active, indicative of the verb have. Many will modify students, nominative, plural, masculine. Time is your accusative, singular neuter. Small is going to modify time. And for Greek literature, well, we're going to make that dative. Dative, plural, feminine, because literature is going to be plural. Let's just get this out here. Many students, multi discipuli, many students, a little time, tempus parvum. Yes, I know. Remember, your vocabulary word is tempus temporis neuter. That means the tempus is both nominative and accusative, and it's the same form for both. Little time for Greek literature. Literis Graikis. And then let's get the use of the verb in here. Habe, ba for the imperfect tense. Habebant. Multidiscipuli tempus parvum literis Graikis habebant. Many students used to have small time for Greek literature. After bad times, true virtue and much labor will help the state. After bad times is a prepositional phrase. We're going to use after, I guess we can use post plus the accusative. Times is accusative, plural, neuter. After bad times, this is virtue and labor. Virtue is nominative, singular, feminine. True modifies virtue. Labor is nominative, singular, masculine, and much modifies labor. Will help is the third person plural because both it's two things. Obviously, virtue is singular, labor is singular, but they are two things. Third person plural, future, active, indicative, and state. There's no word for the, is accusative, singular, feminine. So let's go ahead and translate it. After, post. Multa tempora. After, multa, not multa, mala. My mistake. Let's get this. After multa, not multa, mala. After bad times. True virtue. Virtus vera. Seems peculiar, doesn't it? Because I've chosen a word. Virtus ends in a US. And heavens, you learned just a few weeks ago that virtus, US, is a masculine ending. And yet, here I am modifying it with a feminine verb. But remember, this is a third declension noun. And in the third declension noun, the nominative, all bets are off. It can end in an X. It can end in a US. It can end in whatever you need it to end in. And in this case, it ends in a US, but it is still a feminine noun. Virtus, true virtue. Et, and, much labor. Multus labor. Again, OR. It ends in an OR, but that's okay because it's the nominative singular masculine, which is why this multus ends in a US because the noun is masculine. The state, civitatem, and they will help bunt. Post mala tempora, virtus vera et multus labor, civitatem adjuvabunt. The daughters of your friends were dining there yesterday. No word for the. The daughters of your friends. There's no word for of, but yours is going to modify friends. Genitive, plural. You want to make it masculine, feminine, doesn't matter. We'll just masculine. We're dining. This is there is an adverb. Yesterday is an adverb. We're dining, third person, plural, because the subject is daughters, nominative, plural, feminine. We're dining, third person, plural, imperfect, active, indicative. The filii of your friends, vestrorum amicorum, ibi heri kenabant. The daughters of your friends there yesterday were dining. How's that? Let's continue on with sententiae antiquae. Homo sum, I am man. How's that? Number 2, nihil sub sole novum. Nothing new under the sun. This isn't even a complete sentence, I'm aware of that. Don't know what to tell you. Nothing new under the sun. Phrase we even use today. Number 3, carmina nova de adolescentia virginibus puerisque nunc canto. Nunc canto. Now that you get to the end, canto is first person singular, present, active, indicative. And here's the thing, because at the beginning, Carmen and Noah, that could be the subject, that could be the object, you don't know, Carmen and Noah, but now that we've determined, by reading through all the way, notice we've read it through all the way in Latin, and when we got to the end, we saw, oh, canto is first person singular, that is my subject, is I sing what? Accusative, plural, neuter. I sing songs, what kind? New songs, about youth, about youthhood, about youth. And verbs of giving, showing, or telling, and singing is a form of telling, take the indirect object. So this is dative, plural, and the virginibus is feminine, and the pueris is masculine. I sing new songs about youth to boys and girls now. Number 4, laudas fortunam et mores antiquae plebis. This one's peculiar. It starts right out with the verb, well, and the subject too. Second person singular, present, active, indicative. You praise the fortunam et mores, the fortune and the morals, the customs of the ancient people, of ancient people, whoever they are. That's all there is to that one. Number 5, boni propter amorem virtutis peccare oderunt. Here, this one, first, last, works, the good hate. And this is nominative, plural, masculine, and this is the substantive use of the adjective. The good, because of, on account of, propter amorem, on account of the, amorem is the accusative singular, that's just a stray mark, accusative singular masculine, because propter takes the accusative, because of the love of virtue, genitive singular feminine. Notice, if a candidate, if a word comes right after a noun, if the noun right after a noun is a genitive, or is a candidate for being the genitive case, it's probably going to be it. In other words, the genitive is often going to be right after the noun, it's the genitive of. The good, because of love of virtue, hate to sin. 6, sub principe duro temporibusque malis audes esse bonus. This one's tough. Sub principe duro. Sub is a preposition that takes the ablative. Prep, I'll call it prep, plus ablative, okay? Principe duro, under a harsh leader, ablative, singular, feminine, and, I guess that's an F, and under times, ablative, plural, neuter. What kind of times? Bad times. Under harsh leader and bad times, second person singular, present, active, indicative. You dare to be, complementary infinitive, good. Notice in this one, and I want to remind you that throughout, oftentimes you don't have to mess with the word order as much as I might have led you to believe. Under a harsh leader and evil times, you dare to be good. I mean, I don't know what that means, you dare to be good. I guess he's praising somebody. Yes. Exactly what this sentence means, frankly, I gotta confess, I'm not entirely sure, but the grammar is clear. Under a harsh leader and difficult times, bad times, you dare to be good. Maybe he's saying it's so easy to be bad in such bad times, but yet you dare to rise above and to be good is the implication. Don't know. I just want to focus on the grammar for this one. Number 7. Pulpulus stultus viris indignis honores saepe dat. Look at this. Okay, first of all, first, last, the people gives. Now, there's some implications with this verb gives. It's a verb of giving, showing, or telling. It's third person singular, present active indicative. But we should anticipate with verbs of giving, showing, or telling an indirect object. Expect the indirect object. And here we are, viris, dative, singular, singular, plural, masculine, and indignis, unworthy, modifies it. So obviously wearies could be the ablative too, but in this case, when you have a verb of giving, showing, or telling, let's go ahead and default to the dative. So a foolish people always gives honors to unworthy men. Number 8. Nomina stultorum in parietibus et portis semper videmus. When I've got now, notice, I've read it all the way through in Latin, and as such, I've gotten to the end, videmus. I know videmus is my subject. The nomina by itself is a candidate for subject. It is plural neuter, okay? It is a candidate for the subject, especially there in the first position. But because I already know that we see, first person plural, present indicative active, then nomina just has to be the accusative. The names of foolish men in parietibus et portis. We always see the names of foolish men on the walls and gates. Number 9. Otium sine litteris mors est. This one is just a saying. Leisure without letters is death. Without books, without literature. Man, if I got a few minutes of free time and I don't have a book, it kills me. That's what they're saying. It's no more complicated than that. I mean, once you understand the context, it makes it a little bit easier, admittedly. But you're like, leisure without letters, death is what? No, leisure without literature is death. And when we do the same thing, is death? It's killing me. You're killing me, Smalls. Multi nationes servitutem tolerare possunt. Nostra civitas non potest. Praeclara est recuperatio libertatis. Lots of sentences here. Let's break it up. Something manageable. Multi nationes servitutem tolerare possunt. Many nations. Many nations. Nominative plural feminine. Let's jump to the end and grab the verb. Are able. Many nations are able. Well, then that just to tolerate. That's your complementary infinitive. In other words, your present active infinitive. Let me be clear. The present active infinitive is not the complementary infinitive. Tolerare is your present active infinitive. And its use in the sentence is the complementary infinitive after a form of the verb posse. That's a more full explanation. No, so the complementary infinitive does not equal the present active infinitive. The complementary infinitive could be the perfect active. It could be the perfect passive. It could be, because we're going to come across other tenses of the infinitive. And so that's all, I'm perhaps overstressing this, but I do want to make it clear. So many nations are able to tolerate servitude. Nostra civitas non potest. Our state is not able. See, we would just say our state is not. Many nations are able to tolerate servitude. Our state is not able. Foremost is the recovery of freedom. Foremost is the recovery of freedom. Nihil sine magno labore vita mortalibus est. Oh my goodness, there we go. Nothing without great labor. Okay, that's fine. What do? We've postponed the subject. Nominative, singular, feminine. Life gives, third person singular, present, indicative, active. And what did I say earlier about verbs of giving, showing, or telling? We should be on the lookout for the dative case because it's going to have an indirect object. And sure enough, here it is, dative, plural, masculine. Life gives to mortals. What does life give to mortals? Nothing without great labor. Make sense? Life gives nothing to mortals without great labor. Number 12. Quomodo in perpetua pace salvi et libere esse poterimus? How? Quomodo is how? In perpetua pace, in constant peace. Okay, now what? Solve, I don't know. Go to the verb. We've gotten these out of the way. Let's get to the verb. First person plural, future, active, indicative. How will we be able? How shall we be able to be? To be what? Safe and free. How will we be able to be safe and free in perpetual peace? I think the implication there is, during times of peace, people can become lazy and complacent, but we need to, that's when we need to, it's a rally to the Romans to stay strong, because when peace is here, now we've even got to be more diligent, or something like that. And 13, Gloria in altissimis Deo et in terra pax hominibus boni voluntates. Glory to God on the highest, and peace on earth to men of good, of goodwill. There you go. Let me know if you have questions.